All right, boys. So, as I can see, some people, okay, so bad habits, social, mental health. Need to see more comments, boys. I need to see more. Um, okay, so it seems like it's somewhere between, all right, mental health or social. All right. So I guess we'll just begin with social aspects. Yeah, the social is definitely dominating now. Okay. So a lot of the misconceptions that we get is the whole lone wolf mentality, but also family and loving mentality, and that can give you a real fucking mind fuck. I mean, it is literally one of those things that um, are just so unclear. For example, you have Hamza telling you that you should just focus on your life. You should avoid casual sex, but you should also experience this. So you should also learn. Yeah, I like that. My advice to you is like to do this, do that, and it's just it doesn't really connect up with everything. And this is something that you all have a problem with. This is something that you think to yourself. Let's say you're sitting down and you're studying, and you're gymming for like a few days. These days come by, and then you're like, what the actual fuck is going on? Like, I want to and I want to make a friend. I want to have this capability of I want to go outside. I want to hang with someone at least after I'm done working, after I'm done studying, after I'm done gymming, or you just want to go gym with a gym buddy. Like you want to do these things, but then you have your other conscience which tells you no, 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 no. It's like you're wasting time. You're wasting time. You're not supposed to be talking to this person because like this person is bad for you. You can see that this guy is smoking, let's say, or that guy is like playing too many video games, and you have like you're getting into your head into all these like aspects of, okay, you know what, this is a waste of time. This is something that I'm not going to be doing. These are all degenerate people. These are all Jeffreys, and you start really getting paranoid and you overthink things. And this is something that Hamza mentions in his videos as well, where it's like, oh, you're going out and you're in a social session, and like you just want to smoke and you want to do this and you do that, and like tell me who your friends are and I tell you who you are, kind of mindset. But to really break down on this, I feel like everyone should ask themselves this one question: if I become friends with this person, am I just going to let this person, if this person is a lost cause, then obviously should not do it. What I mean by a lost cause, I mean someone who really does not give a fuck about self improvement, who really does not give a fuck about their health, mental health, um, intellectual, everything kind of fucking mentality. Like everything is just ruined. Those are the kind of people that you should avoid. But when you see someone who is struggling, let's say he's playing too many video games, right? He is, let's say, just he's a smoker, or he is, he's one bad thing. That's the kind of person that you should try to be friends with. And now I know everyone's be like, oh, what the fuck are you on about? Like why would you be friends with someone who smokes? If it's that's like the only thing that's bad about that person. Let's say that person smokes and they play video games. Why should you be friends with that person? The actual truth is everyone here amongst me, Trip, and Sravan, even like the entirety of this Discord server, even Hamza himself, everyone here has been through that fucking phase where we benched fucking video games. We played and we fucking masturbated. I don't fucking know what you guys did. We taking drugs, all these fucking things that we have done, all these bad habits, right? And we obviously always were looking for that like good lifestyle, and we were looking for that good friend and so on, to carry us out of that misery, right? But the thing is, we never find that friend because that friend sees us as that lost cause, right? And as I said, your target of friends, if you're trying to make a friend, if you're paranoid all the time, you're like, oh man, I have to get my work done. I have to focus on my life, but I also want to have friends. But my friends are around me, like they're not so good. So I'm gonna cut off contact with this person. I'm gonna cut contact with this person. See that is the fucking absolute most mind fuck. I mean, it's like the word fuck is gonna be repeated in this lecture. I'm sorry, sir, but you're gonna have to cut a lot of shit out if you want to cut shit out.
It's okay. Yeah, we
Um,
can work on it.
but I'll try. I'll try to reduce my slurring. But basically, everyone just has this huge confusion around, okay, should I worry about my mental health, my social life, or should I worry about my school? Should I worry about my gym? Or it's not something that you or the people around you really have a clear answer to all the time. As you go to your mom and be like, Mom, I wanna make friends. What advice do you give? She's like, okay, well, avoid the people who do bad habits. And you're like, that's basically everyone. I mean, literally everyone in the server, even including me, till this day, has or always is doing some sort of fucking bad habit, right? So you can't really listen to your mom in that sense, because your mom is always gonna want the best for you. Okay, so who you listen to? You listen to some YouTubers' advice, right? The YouTubers' advice is what? Worry about yourself, worry about your education, worry about your health, worry about this. And it's like, don't focus on the degenerate lifestyle. And don't be a Jeffrey. Don't be the person who just stares at people and acts awkward. Don't be the party pooper, but focus on yourself. And it's like, what the fuck do you do? What do you really do in that sense? And as I said, my advice to everyone here is take a somewhat of a hearing out of this and take it from the perspective of everyone does something wrong. Everyone does something wrong in this server. Not even Hamza has been capable of holding his entire message or ideology of avoid casual sex. Casual sex destroys the society of men and the society of everyone, right? Even he still has casual sex at times of weakness, he says. But it's one of those things that he still doesn't have the answer to. The idea I'm trying to say here is that everyone has these bad habits. Your main focus should be on yourself 100% of the time, except if you're trying to make a friend, you should not be judging that person to the most perfect idealism of mindsets and the perfect idealism of any set, realistically speaking, and whether it was physical, mental, or disciplined, or intellectual. For example, to take us as a reference, I'm sorry, Trip, I'm gonna have to throw you under the bus, but to take as a reference, my boy Trip here, um, me and him, we had a big ride of just constant playing video games, constant like going out, wasting time. We would gym from time to time, we would do these things. And when I got into self improvement, previous to Trip, I actually managed to get myself in check before that. When I started getting myself into that point, I wanted to cut my friend Trip off completely, which I actually attempted on doing multiple times. It's kind of a sad story, to look at, but it actually been the most productive thing that we've done. The point I'm trying to get to here is that my friend Trip here, after like a year of me doing self improvement, he still stayed on that video game lifestyle. He still tried to justify, oh no, I'm playing for these many hours, or it's okay to smoke one cigarette. I will never be addicted to it. All these things that were happening, and this is not to like slander Trip. I'm not slandering my guy Trip here. It's more of the thing that everyone should be taking into their morality. When you're trying to make a new friend, no friend is going to be perfect, but you should aim for that person who has the least bad habits, the least bad aspects about them. So exactly. So even my guy Trip is mentioning this is 7 months ago. This is not like here, right? So the idea is, it's just look for that person who has the least bad habits. I have another friend of mine. You guys don't know. His name is Mako. My friend Mako. He is a world champion almost. No, but he's a Swedish champion actually in his class. He has broken 2 or 3 records, I think, in powerlifting, and he's not the most perfect ideal man. I mean, he goes to university. He is a record holder. He is a gym guy. He's like a really fucking strong guy. All these fucking shit, right? But if, for example, I look at him and I don't see him as the kind of person to masturbate. I mean, this guy fucks chicks day in day out. I mean, it doesn't matter to him. It's like he has a body count of like 100 people. 100 people. I'm not even kidding with you guys. But the idea is that he still masturbates, right? Or from time to time he still like might take a joint, and this is like I'm talking from time to time. I'm talking like every month, like several months or so. I'm not talking about like every week or every so on and so on, right? Does it mean that this person who goes to university, who is a powerlifting record holder, and who is a really nice fucking friend, who's a really nice bro, does it mean just because of his masturbating habit, just because he's not on nofap, does it mean that he is not worthy of being an actual good friend or being a so-called Adonis. And that's the fucking problem that we have here. That's the mind fuck that I'm trying to get to here. The idea that you have to be perfect in everything. No fap, meditation, do this, do that, do this, do that, and have the willpower to actually prevent yourself from going on Snapchat, prevent yourself from going on Instagram, prevent yourself and have these apps on your phone, have these apps on your computer, and not do them. That is insanely unrealistic. It is insanely fucking unrealistic, boys. Drop off all the fucking lost causes. I have cut off a lot of friends. Don't get me wrong. I have cut off a lot of fucking friends that just don't give a shit about future. They give a shit about sex, money, drugs, and basically the bad boy lifestyle, right? But they don't even achieve it in most cases. The idea, guys, okay, that I see some people, like for example my guy with here with a Chinese name or Japanese, I'm not sure. I feel like Hamza has contributed to the problem with polarizing Adonis Jeffrey dynamic. Well, it's not really the problem of polarizing it. It's more of the problem of having the perfect ideal expectations of everyone. For example, you have chess players, you have football players. The best chess players, the best football players have been playing since they were kids. Right. And the most Adonis person that you can make has to be formed from the time when he's a child. And that means for most cases, everyone here in the server is too late. It's too late. I mean, anyone here who is above the age of 15, you've already passed that stage of, oh, you're being nurtured from a child to be something perfect. 14, whatever, it doesn't matter. Basically, the idea is that everyone starts from that small age, right? And everyone is nurtured in that same sense, right? And everyone here is obviously not been raised in the sense. I mean, I'm not trying to diss anyone, but no one has really been raised to the perfect idealism of Adonis, and no one can just change that within a few years or a few months. I feel like I've spoken a lot. I'm sorry, Sravan, if you want to jump in on this social dynamic before we switch topics.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll give my two cents here because I've seen a couple comments here. People are saying they feel like they won't make friends even when they're on their whole journey. And you know what? I actually had this thought over the last couple days because I've been reflecting, and since I started my journey, I've realized that a lot of the people that I used to surround myself with no longer have any form of merit or value to my life. And it's funny because last night I had this exact conversation with two of my friends after we went to the movies. I explained to them that the whole principle of value when it comes to social dynamic, especially when you're someone who wants to genuinely move your life and steer it in a progressive direction, is that the dynamics are you and the other person, person X, have a common ground, right? So that way, when you're talking about just anything really, general topics of discussion, sharing philosophy, ideology, you are speaking on equal measure. Now, this isn't necessarily a warning to say, well, if you don't, then just cut that person off immediately, because there are some people who are like at the beginning stages of their journey, whereas you might be a little more developed and versed, right? It's like coaches. Coaches don't just say, well, I want everyone to be on the same train of thought as me, otherwise I'm not going to have anybody as a client. That defeats the whole purpose. When it comes to making friends and developing a social dynamic, it's pretty much the same thing. Okay. Now, there's so many different ways in which you can create friends, but if you're talking from a space of wanting to sort of elevate yourself, I always say this in my lectures and I always drop this in my messages, which is in order to elevate yourself, you must separate yourself. So just to go back to Ube's message on he feels like he won't be able to make friends if he cuts himself out of the picture with the friends that look down on him for self-improvement. Look at it this way, guys. your journey on self-development and building yourself up is not a linear one, right? And think of it as almost like a game of baseball, right? You have different bases, okay, different levels and tiers that you reach in your journey. And at each base, that's where you will find people of like mind or like a similar mindset and lifestyle. So if you're at the, like let's just say use the term the Jeffrey phase, well then yeah, you're gonna find loads of people with the Jeffrey mindset. Now, when you're moving on to sort of elevate yourself from that space, right? Therefore, you're separating yourself. Okay, that transition period is you putting in the work. Okay, and this is what I call like the dry spells. Okay, this is where we find that it's harder to make friends. It's harder to maybe connect with girls or get dates because you're putting this energy into yourself. Every human being has a finite amount of energy that they use on a daily basis. So when you're moving in the social dynamic, when you're moving from basically identifying that you no longer sort of resonate with the degenerate behaviors or whatever it is that you're unhappy with, you're moving away from that naturally. As part of cause and effect, you're going to be detaching from those people, and even those people are going to detach from you because now they're going to say, well, yeah, it's the typical thing, like, hey, what happened, man? You changed. Well, yeah, of course I changed because I wasn't satisfied with where I was. Now, that's not to say that it's good or bad. It just simply is. So you're going to be moving throughout this transitional period, okay? And I like to look at like these bases as if like hubs, and then you've got like a tunnel that you're going through, and that tunnel is you just digging deep and working on yourself and putting into practice the steps that is necessary for you to move to the next base. When you reach the next base, guess what? You start to find that, oh, I'm in a new location. There are other people around me. There are people who share a similar mindset to me. Or rather, you'll be able to identify people who are at that level too. So you will then be able to make more friends, make more like minded friends. This is what I talk about all the time. This is what Hamza talks about. This is even what Chris from First Man talks about. Okay, we can name countless coaches and influencing platforms that say this, and the reason why we say this is because it's true. Okay, you you are the average of your social circle, and if you don't have a social circle, that's not necessarily a bad thing. It just means that you're in the process of developing yourself to the next stage, but you have to put the work in, right? So that's just my whole take on the whole social paradigm and the dynamics on creating a social group, but then also breaking away from the current one in order to get to in order to get to the next one, right? Someone asked me a question quickly. Oh, rather it was a comment. So
Hmm.
Zion says he's surrounded by his parents and only friends who just mock him and talk shit on him every day. They're in school and you're not allowed to go to school. Okay. So another thing that you guys also have to take into consideration, and I think that this is something that we should have highlighted at the very beginning of this lecture, okay? You need to also understand where you are in life. If you are like, for example, yourself, you're 14 years old, okay? First things first, you have to ask yourself this. Why do you want to self-improve? Why do you want to build into, like, what is it about yourself that you feel that you need to like detach from, that you need to work to improve on? Okay, a lot of you guys are kids, right? I'm 28 years old now. Part of this process requires experience, and a lot of you young guys here have very little life experience. Okay, so remember, it's very hard to move from something that you don't know. So if you are trying to basically become the best version of yourself, that's admirable. But also a good way to steer yourself in that direction is to also identify what doesn't work for you. And for anyone who's like very young and you're in your formative years, yeah, I mean, you basically are, right? I'm not trying to sound ageist or anything, but I mean, look, let's put things into perspective. Okay, so I I went to primary, secondary school, college, university. I joined the military. I completed a full career in the military, experiencing many experiences there. Before I joined the army, I had loads of experiences in a social and dating dynamic. Right, those were my formative years. Now I'm at the age of 28. I'm at a point now where I'm very selective about my friends, and that's what I was explaining to one of my friends. And I'll just give you a little anecdote, because when I was when I was younger, I had loads of friends, and there was one guy in particular who I remember. I used to work at this nightclub, and we connected. Right now, we didn't really have much going on in life. So the dynamics were simply we would just, party, try and hook up with the girls there, and just rinse and repeat like every 4 days, because we worked every 4 days throughout the week. And then that was it. We dropped communication, picked it back up later on when I was in the army. I was in a different space. This guy was still living in that party mentality. All he cared about was wanting to hook up with girls, get liquored up. And it got to the point where, we talk about our dating lives. And he actually said to me, yeah, bro, if I don't basically smash a girl on the first date, I'm not interested. She's not worth it. If I don't get at least a kiss on a first date, right? And this is also, by the way, the result of digesting a lot of like hardcore red pill content. Now, just think about that. Imagine if like a girl, let's reverse the roles. Imagine if a girl says to you, if you don't buy me, like if you don't pay for all my meals, pay for all my drinks, basically give me what I want and just put in 100% effort for for my benefit, then you're not worth my time. How arrogant does that sound? So, based off that principle, and also just the sheer negativity that used to come from this guy every time when he was unsuccessful with women, surprise, surprise, I dropped him as a friend. Okay? That was my action of separating myself from that social dynamic, because he had loads of other friends who operated and resonated off the same sort of frequency. They would all try and get lucky with girls and score like easy points, and then have like zero fulfillment. And I thought, yeah, well, I'm like, I did that. I'm sick of that. It doesn't work for me anymore. And so I had to pull myself away from that. So those are the experiences that I've had in my life, which I can then go back on and say, yes, okay, I understand this now. I have something to match up and compare. If you're extremely young, where I mean, to be fair, we live in the 21st century, so yeah, kids are hooking up as young as 11 now, which is crazy.
All right, that's
But
fucked.
yeah, it is pretty fucked up. But I mean, if you're someone who hasn't engaged in that, or someone who doesn't know, right, then it's going to be very hard for you to compare and contrast. Now, what I will say is, even if you don't have that, even if you don't have those experiences, this is where it gets a little polarized. Okay, you can steer yourself to be the best version of yourself, provided that you make peace with the fact that you don't need to engage in the degeneracy. And I mean, that's easier said than done. So that's a decision you have to make for yourself. But before you do any of that, you need to ask yourself why. And this is for everybody. You need to ask yourself, why is it that I need to improve? And then when you have got the honest answer, then you can move on to it, because that honest answer will also bring in elements that reflect your self-esteem, reflect your confidence, reflect how you visually see yourself, reflect how you mentally see yourself, reflect where you are spiritually, right? And those are all topics that we're going to go over in this lecture, by the way. But yeah, that was just my mini rant on the social dynamics. and understanding just how you can, first of all, understanding how you can move from one space to the other, and then also understanding why. Because if you don't have a good why, it's very easy to just fall off, right? I think there are a lot of people who might even be in this lecture who, you see, self improvement, the concept of self development has become very romanticized because of people like Hamza, First Man. There are a few like Andrew Kirby. There, like even myself, up and coming, right? I've got my own spin on self development, and it's becoming very like it's becoming more and more mainstream in like the digital sphere. But the thing is, you have to understand from our perspectives what got us there in the first place. So just saying, "Oh, I want to improve because it's cool." I mean, yeah, sure it is, but it's not gonna yield consistent returns when you have
These are a
something
lot
that's
of experience.
driving you. Yeah, exactly. It's experience, or learning. It's like that expression. Um, like what was it? Good men learn from their mistakes. Wise men learn from the mistakes of other men. Something like that, right?
Mm,
That's an element that you can tap into. Everybody here can tap into that. Okay, you know, a lot of us here will be learning from our own mistakes. I made plenty of mistakes, but you can, if you're someone who hasn't had the experience, then you can look at the other people who've made those mistakes and learn from them. Hold on. Okay, so I'm just gonna call you Xenon. Your honest answer is to get girls. I mean, bro, like I think 95% of us at least, honestly deep down inside, that's one of the reasons why. Anyone who says, well, no, I mean, yeah, you might be like the 1% who's truly here for your own altruistic motives, but the majority of us, like myself included, the reason why I decided to get into self-development is because I want to get with better quality girls. I mean, that actually would roll up quite
it's
nicely into the next like thing we want to talk about, Luther, about biological programming. That's why we want
exactly.
to.
All right,
That's why
all
we
right.
all want to do this.
So the thing that you just mentioned, with actually getting with higher quality women and high quality girls, it's actually not just about that only. It's also about getting high quality friends. It's about getting high quality yourself. Because we always just want the best for ourselves and the best for the people around us, the best from the people around us as well. Because what you are as a person right now reflects deeply on what other people are around you. For example, when I'm going out, let's say with my girlfriend, my current girlfriend, I dress nice not just for me to dress nice because I already have this partner that I'm satisfied with. I'm already satisfied with my progress as someone. I train, I study, I work, and I'm trying to develop myself in other aspects. So for me, when I'm going out with my girlfriend and when I'm dressing nice, even if it's just a casual thing, it's more of the giving the vibe to her that she's when people look at her, she's someone that's looking good as well, right? It's also about giving to her as much as she giving to you, because a lot of us, what we think, the Jeffrey mindset, if we were talking in that terms, a lot of us just think, you know what, I'm this fucking skank who just plays video fucking games and just masturbates all the time and does nothing all day, and he will get with this really high quality chick, and then he will just walk around and everyone will be looking at him. And then what you're having there is that you're having just a one-sided, like, oh, this girl is gonna basically get this attention that she's hanging out with me and that's gonna make me look better. Why don't you just do the same for each other? Why don't you make her look better by hanging out with you, and therefore will build you up socially and will build up your confidence so that more people will approach you and her, and then you will build up a better social circle. And that's how things are, realistically speaking, in the biological terms. And as us, as a primate, I mean, we're literally just primates. We're primal mammals, and we go off base of tribes, we go off base of herds. We're like, that's how we function. you know and for us to just dismiss that completely now, and for us to pretend that you could just be something huge and you could just be something big by just changing a few things you can't just do that by expecting the best from others, but not the best from yourself as well. And this is a big misconception that a lot of the people have, and this is something that even Hamza talks about, and he doesn't really just say it as a misconception, but he says it as something that you should just be able to do. Like for example, when he talks about like nofap, he's always like he's always kind about the whole like nofap thing, right? Like if you don't have to like completely cut it off from the beginning. It's like you can cut off like slowly but surely, like reduce it, and then maybe in the future you'll be able to cut it off. But when it comes down to any other aspects, Hamza is like, no, stop it now, cut it now, or you gotta end this. Otherwise, you will not be achieving the goals that you want to achieve. And the problem that we're having here is that a lot of the people here in the server think to themselves, okay, well, I need to focus on my work. I'm not gonna focus on that life of the casual sex or the friendships and so on and so on. I'm just gonna focus on myself, right? But there's something biologically ingrained into your head. It's in your DNA to reproduce, right? And it's not something that you can just withhold forever. Like if you think about it this way, if you were to cut off, the complete uses of pornography out of your life, right? And you were to go on nofap for several months in a row, and you don't have a girl, you don't have a girlfriend, and you don't go out, you don't have any like other casual sex forms, what's gonna happen is that you're gonna feel unfulfilled. Okay, and this is something I've experienced personally. I was like, you know what? When I wanted to start self improvement, I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna cut things down. I'm gonna start slowly reducing everything, and I did reduce everything. I reduced everything to the minimum. I cut off YouTube. I was a complete YouTube addict. I used to watch YouTube from the time I woke up to the time I slept, and I just had everything just upside down in my life. But as soon as I started like just cutting off, all right, no more fapping. All right, I cut all that shit off. All right, that's good, that's good. All right, no more going out to parties and taking drugs and smoking and this and that. That's amazing. That's amazing. And I'm doing all these great things for myself, and I'm realizing, wait a minute, where are the high quality friends? Where are the perfect models that I'm expecting now? Like where I mean, I know nothing just comes like, overnight. Nothing comes like that. No, no. But I expected at least one person to approach me that I could be friends with afterwards, after the fact. Then I realized that because I've been so intoxicated with this idea that you have to be perfect, and I tried to convince myself that I'm going to be perfect, I started looking for perfect people to hang with. I started looking for people that were completely fault free. People who don't smoke, who don't drink. And I was like, I see some people that go to the gym, but they drink. I'm like, well, that fucks up his gym progress. What's the point? He's not a good friend. He's probably going to influence me to drink as well and gym with him as well. It's not really going to be good for me, you know. So I started cutting off people, and now it's too late for me to really go back with these people, because these people view me as this person who just wants everything to be perfect, and he idealizes everything to the maximum, and he sees that everyone has to be perfect, even though I'm not perfect myself. Even though behind the scenes I'm not perfect myself, right? And that's the problem that we have, and that's the problem that Hamza mentions a lot. It's like, oh, you just jump on this, and you keep Snapchat on your phone, you keep this on that or whatever, but you just build up the willpower. But don't masturbate, don't have casual sex, and focus on yourself. Don't settle down, don't have a relationship. And you're like, what the fuck? It's in your DNA. It's literally in your fucking DNA to reproduce. Since the time you hit puberty, you're already thinking, where's my next mate? And that's the fucking thing, right? It obviously develops over time. It's not like you just want to settle down since you're 12 or 13 or 14. I don't know when you hit puberty. For some people, it's different. But it's that fact itself, that fucking fact, that it's ingrained in your DNA. So why are we just trying to just forget all about that? Why are we trying to reverse that fact and think to ourselves that we can just control our porn addiction, we can control our sexual attraction levels, and so on, to make ourselves more high quality? And that's where things go wrong. That's exactly where things go wrong. My eventual tip is this, and I'm not advocating for any form of porn addiction or casual sex, like party, like I'm not advocating for you to do that compulsively and consistently and just do it on weekend or weekday basis. I'm just saying this. For me as a person, I have never really been able to cut off pornography out of my life, right? In fact, I do it once a month. I know. What a big fucking surprise, right? What a big, big surprise, right? And other than the fact that I've never been able to cut it off completely. I mean, I've the longest I've done it for was like 3 fucking months. I've never been able to do it for a consistent amount of time, more than 3 months. I've never been able to beat that record since then. It's all about going down the logical route. I'm not saying just go on masturbate because it's in your DNA to actually watch pornography or so on. I mean, at the end of the day, Hamza does get chicks. That's why it's also easier for him to stay on offhand. That guy does still goes with casual sex. He still has these relationships. He still has quality women, whatever. And that's why it's easy for him to stay on for years and several years at a time. It's not that it increases. That the myth that we have is that it increases your chances of getting high quality chicks because people can just suddenly sense that you're not watching pornography. No, it's not that. It's what happens is that you're trying to shift your focus instead of watching pornography to actually getting a chick, and that's why you're getting more chicks because you're trying new things. And that's the thing. You have to try new things. You have to try new things, and that's how you get to the point that you want to get to. In anything that you start, no one has things set out for them without trying new things. And you're not meant to succeed in everything. Hamza failed multiple startup businesses. Hamza started multiple ideas that also failed and failed and failed and failed until he eventually succeeded. But he kept trying new things until he eventually succeeded with his YouTube channel. And this is why he is where he is right now. This is why he's planning in over a year to make his entire family go in retirement and just work for fun.
Yeah.
This is exactly, boys. All right, yeah, go ahead, Sravan.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Yeah, I mean, everything you're saying is exactly what I would say. I think further to that, I would say, guys, understand that there is no textbook on how to live life, and this is one area that I'm going to highlight because TRV was asking this question. The concept of high versus low value friends. Okay, this is like I'm going to say this has become like a stigmatized label that we need to remove. Okay, because what it does is it compartmentalizes and drops people in boxes. Now, there are pros and cons to that, okay? It's literally like working out a diet. Like what foods are good for me, what foods are bad for me, okay? You identify those traits in people, but to then call someone like a high value person versus a low value person, just take a minute to think about you are attaching that kind of label to another human being. It's literally like saying, oh, okay, well, if you're considered to be a high value person, then you're a king or a queen, and I'm going to treat you like royalty. But if you're somebody who like jerks off, plays video games, then you're a slave, and I'm going to treat you like a slave. That's a very destructive route to go down because it's especially when it comes to your dating life, right? Yeah, we understand what degenerate behavior is, but also have to understand that human beings are complex creatures. Okay, we are very complex. I mean, nobody here can put their hands up and be, and just say that, yeah, I have never fapped before in my life. I have never watched porn. I have never played a video game. Never done anything that would be harmful to myself or other people. Okay, everybody here has at least either taken a drag from a cigarette or a joint, or taken a sip of alcohol. Okay, by that token, you are all degenerates. We are all degenerates. By that token, if we are going by that belief system, which means we are not worthy of becoming the Adonis figure that we all strive to be in this Discord. I'm gonna touch on that as well. Okay. The concept of being Adonis, guys, is a mindset, right? I'm just quickly addressing this for the people that have messaged me and asked me, how does one become Adonis? Adonis in this Discord server is just a role. The role is full of people who have a similar mindset. Okay. Go back to what I said earlier in the lecture. You are the average of your social circle. It is literally that. There is no like special superpower that you get from being an Adonis in this server. And the same goes for how you carry yourself in life. Okay. If you believe that you are like the hottest thing since sliced bread, yeah, sure. You're doing that to condition yourself. But other people don't have to see you that way. And that's also one of the biggest like mindfucks of self-development is when you become so focused on the outcome that when it doesn't happen, you revert to like your old tendencies and your old ways and you start to feel like broken down, right? I'm guilty of this myself, and it's not conducive because that's not true fulfillment. Everything you do has to be happen. Everything you do has to happen and come from a place from self-fulfilling, um, your self-fulfilling requirements, your self-fulfilling objectives. So you have to really keep that in mind. It's all about a mindset. I have no
Exactly,
idea
man.
what's going on. Sorry, I'm tracking the lecture
Someone,
chat right now. I don't know what
yeah,
the
yeah,
hell's going on right now.
someone was being a bit toxic, so he got jeffified. It's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
yeah, exactly.
Um,
And also be kind to yourself, guys. That's another thing. Be kind to yourself. Like I know I have a habit of like pushing myself really hard, but I've got to the point now where it's like when I can feel the burnout coming on, I lay off the gas a little bit. All right? I'm doing a lifestyle challenge right now called 75 hard. And part of that is doing 2 workouts a day. And they're meant to be solid workouts. Now imagine that 75 days straight, okay? Because this is a challenge that's designed to program you or reprogram you to be more productive, to think um to think more clearly and develop better habits, okay? This is essentially like a self improvement um like lifestyle. And that's the whole point. It's meant to become a lifestyle, right? So it's better to do one thing each day than try and go full send and do it all. And if you don't do it, then you call yourself a failure. So there are days where I'll be in the gym and I'm feeling extremely sore and tired, but I understand that I have to get through this workout in order to continue and also respect and honor the agreement that I made with myself. So instead of like doing like a hard workout, I'll just practice like skill movements, or I'll do some light skipping, or I'll stretch, but I'm doing something. And that's that leads me on to this point I want to make, which is inaction or procrastination, right? Just visualize this and embody this message, guys. Procrastination is a slow death. Okay. I think the actual quote is inaction is a slow death. I got that from Better Ideas. He's also a phenomenal self improvement channel. If you guys don't know who he is, check him out on YouTube. But honestly, guys, like, do something, just one thing towards your goals, and you'll find that you start to feel better about yourself. So,
there's um, there's also another dynamic, to that point that you just made. It's also the procrastination is actually, in fact, a slow death, and it's something that we I feel like Hamza does not really understand the actual weight of procrastination and like what are like the actual environmental factors that cause it. For example, the say you're a new subscriber, or like let's say you've been a member in the server for a long time and you're just watching Hamza's first times video, and you're like, all right, he's talking about how you should just keep Snapchat on your phone, you should keep YouTube on your phone, you should not have any web blocker, you should not have anything that prevents you from reaching that habit. how the fuck are you gonna improve?
Yeah.
That is the real question. How the actual F are you gonna improve on that specific thing? Because I realize that I have made extreme fucking progress. I have made extreme progress, and I'm sorry, guys, if I sound a bit higher tone right now, but I have made extreme progress from actually blocking out these bad habits. There's an entire book. It's called Atomic Habits. Sorry, Atomic Habits that Hamza has actually promoted before, which is actually kind of like contradicting to his point. I don't know. I don't really understand why he would promote a book like that, Atomic Habits, without actually just preaching what it's about. He goes about like you should not have an ad blocker, even though in the Atomic Habits book it says that you should make your habits invisible. You should hide them, put them away. For example, the actual writer of the book, the author, he had a problem drinking beer. And he realized that every time he buys beer, he always puts it in the top shelf of his fridge. So it's always like every time he opens it, he's like, all right, let me just grab one and just drink it, right? What he decided to instead do to fix that problem was to actually grab that beer, I don't know what is box, whatever it is that is in it, and he put it in the bottom of the shelf of the fridge. Just from that simple small change, he has actually reduced the amount of beer he has been drinking. And not, I mean, he didn't eliminate it completely because he does not plan on eliminating it, but he put it away and he reduced it so that the actual beer can or whatever, it can last him for like several months or several weeks on end. I have also implemented one of those factors into my life. I mean, I live alone with my mother, and she doesn't really like watch the TV as often as I used to. And I used to be really like YouTube addict, so I always like every time I come down in the living room, I'm trying to eat something, I put on YouTube. Every time I want to like relax or do something, I put on music on YouTube, and then I watch the music video because it's just like you get in the vibe. So what I decided to do to make my life a little bit more controlled, I actually did this, which is I'm gonna send this in the lecture chat. It's a picture of my TV facing the wall, and it's just to further like elaborate my point. I turned the entire TV around, unplugged the plug, and I put the remote away. That was my first step to actually reducing my
The amount of
addiction, my
fucking skull reacts, Jesus.
yeah. I know. So I reduced that by actually just turning my TV on. Because now every time I grab a plate of food from the kitchen and I come down the living room, I sit down. There's no fucking way my lazy ass is gonna get up. And I'm not saying I'm lazy just in general. I'm just saying lazy in the sense that everyone here is lazy and everyone's gonna try to do the easiest thing. And that's why everyone here in this lecture will leave early, because everyone just wants to hear the easy tricks, the easy tips, the easy whatever, just one line statements, and just leaves. What I did for myself, I implemented the same thing into my own daily life. I flipped that TV around, and now every fucking time I want to watch TV, I would actually have to turn the TV around, put the batteries in the remote, plug the TV in, turn it on, connect it to the Wi-Fi, and so on. But the thing is, what I did, obviously, a lot of people might think, oh, well, what if you have guests over, whatever? Yeah, turn the TV around. Someone comes over, like it's not like I'm just gonna have the TV around there, like just dead. But I decided, you know what? Let me make a use out of this TV instead of just making it just stay there. I decided to make it my speaker. It's still facing the wall, but I plugged it in, and now I just connect my phone to it, and it just becomes my speaker because I broke my speakers. I am kind of retarded, but it's it's just about making the best of your situation. And I decided, I was like, I want to quit YouTube. I installed Unhook. It's like it's kind of funny how you have Hamza here telling you that you shouldn't have a YouTube ad blocker or YouTube blocker in general, whatever, on your Chrome or your computer, and you should not have any like limits on your apps or so on. And then he also promotes the 1% value men or whatever, which is his friend Iman. I don't know what his last name is, but there's this his friend of his that lives in Dubai. He's like a millionaire, multimillionaire, and he promotes him. So when he promotes the 1% of men, to us, and he says this is the 1% of men that you should follow what he does. Then you go on Iman's channel, and then Iman promotes actually having blockers on your Facebook feed, on your YouTube, and so on and so on. So you're like, what the fuck? Who
Hmm.
do you listen to?
Yeah,
Who the fuck do you listen to?
I
Right?
noticed that
You
too.
have 1% value, and you have this guy who is telling you shouldn't. And it's like, okay, should I be loyal to Hamza because Hamza is right because I've watched Hamza first, or should I listen to the 1% value man? You know what I mean? So this is why I'm talking about like this is as the mind fuck of self improvement. This is the problem that we have. And to realistically fix this problem is that we should look at it from a biological perspective every time. Everything you want to do, you should look at it biological perspective. You want to build muscle, you gotta eat, sleep, train. Simple biology. You want to get a better dating life, you gotta think about it this way. If I go at her hubba hubba hubba, and will she run away? Yes, she will. If I go at her dressed nice, looking like I'm a leader, or I'm looking like I'm actually self-confident, showing confidence as biology is, it's, you're supposed to be a confident, dominant male. You're gonna get that chick. If she is low value, you should not go for her. The tribe men from back in the day, even the message that he tries to, that Hamza tries to convey, you don't just go for low value tribe men. In herds, in the animal kingdom, the weakest fucking animal in whatever kind of species you're talking about, it gets dropped. It gets thrown away. Like I'm pretty sure I don't know what animals they are, but like the kangaroo mother just throws her baby and just fucking dips. You know what I mean? If she's being attacked and like she can't escape, because it's like the weakest dies. It's survival of the fucking fittest. This same fucking principle applies. I'm not talking about just in general. I'm talking about biology, guys. I'm talking about biology of us humans and how we function. So I feel like I went on like a bit of a rant. So I'm sorry if anyone couldn't really keep up with me, but it's really for the sake of actual self improvement, actual self development, that you take into consideration actual biology, not just the saying of, oh, I can do this. Like no one can just go on an entire year without either watching pornography or not having sex if they were not conditioned to do so since they were kids. I know some Muslims, because I'm a Muslim myself. I know some Muslims who have not watched pornography and who have not had sex since they were kids until they got married. That's great. That's understandable. That's great because they were conditioned since they were kids all the way through. Chess players conditioned since they were kids. The best chess players, they're grandmasters when they're like 10. And that's the fucking crazy part about it. It's like, I mean, that's a bit exaggerating, but some of them are at 9 now, at the age of 9. Cristiano Ronaldo, people think, okay, even if you're like a poor rags to riches kind of story, you can still make it in life. Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi, both of them came from poor families, but they were conditioned since they were kids to play football. And because they wanted to try new things, it's not just they were conditioned to it, because they also wanted to try new things. And that's a success story. Some people have it luckier than you in the sense that they get the thing that they wanted to try to work from the get go. Basically, everyone here in the server might feel like they're a failure and they will never make it because they think that, oh shit, I couldn't make it in school, I couldn't make it in this, so I'm a failure. No, you just gotta fucking try new things. You just gotta try new things until you catch that thing that makes you actually fulfilled, that makes you develop yourself into financial and exponential development that you will not even imagine in your lifetime. That's the thing. Everyone tried new things, and that's why there's some people who are more successful than you. It's because they tried it at a younger age and they were more successful because they are a little bit more lucky and a little bit of a hint of actual attempt, actually trying. The multimillionaires that who they are right now, Elon Musk, the reason why he is who he is right now is because he was conditioned since he was a kid to study, but he also wanted to try new things. He sought out studying, and he saw, okay, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. SpaceX, their first 3 rocket launches failed. The first 3 rocket launches that they had actually failed, and the fourth one, had it failed, the company would have went bankrupt and it would have been closed down. But he kept
Hmm?
trying. They kept trying new things until they succeeded, and that's what we should be doing here. We should be taking consideration biology. We should be taking consideration trying new things, and in every aspect in your life. Don't just look at it from a one-sided perspective. Oh, he did that, I should be able to do it too. Everyone has a unique life. Everyone has a unique perspective. No one has the same, no matter what everyone's doing. I'm not saying anyone here is special just because of the idea of your what's it called, a snowflake or whatever. No, 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 no. I'm saying everyone here is unique because everyone here goes through different things. Hamza himself has not gone through the same shit that I've gone through. No one has gone through the same shit that I've gone through, and I haven't gone through the same shit that you guys have gone through. But that does not mean that any of us here are failures unless we are not trying to do anything about it, unless we're just sitting here and wasting our fucking time. So what I'm trying to say here, boys, try new things. Patience is fucking key. I've had a lecture about this before. And just work, 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 and we will dive deeper into some other topics regarding more dating, more questions, anything you guys have to ask. Of course, we will dive deeper into that as we go on. I'm sorry for going on this like long rant. Again, I get sidetracked because it's something that's been really bothering me myself. The whole mind fuck of self improvement, the whole just do this, do that, and then like you don't know what the fuck to do, and you're like, why should I listen to this guy or this guy? You know, this doesn't work for me. So am I a failure because I can't control myself? I have to have a limit blocking me from watching YouTube. Am I a failure? No, you're not. Some people are born a fucking handicap. That does not mean that you are a failure. Some people are born with handicaps. Some people have ADHD. They can't control the compulses to actually do something distractive. They can't control that. They need limits. Everyone needs certain things. You just don't see it because you're not diagnosed with it. But doesn't mean it doesn't exist. I guess. All right. I'll let you, Sravan. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, bro, you've been preaching, man. It's great. Give me a chance to rest my voice. No, but you 100% hit the nail on the head. It's I also want you guys to look at it from this perspective, okay? It's the same message, but just to build it with a different sort of tactic or mindset, okay? You got to think about all these skills that you want to sharpen in life as a form of progressive overload, right? Just like we do in the gym. In order to reach the new levels, you've got to start doing things differently, right? Let's say, for example, you want to build your chest up and you're an absolute newbie in the gym. So you start doing push-ups because you can't push any weights right now. So you keep pushing with the push-ups and you reach a point where you plateau, all right? Plateau means that you've basically hit the same sort of level of effort and you can't go any further than that. So you now need to change it up, okay? So you can change the variation. Let's just link this to, for example, dating, because I know that this is a huge thing. Dating, okay. We've ascertained that, okay, swiping right on Tinder may work for me every now and then, but it's reached a point where I'm not seeing, like, I'm not happy or content with what I'm seeing. I feel like I can do more. So how do we switch up? Okay, start going out. And yeah, we were talking about cold approaching. You can talk to people in real life. And that right there for a lot of people is the next best step, because I know that not everybody is sociable. Yeah. The digital age has taken us massively away from our roots as human beings, where we are sociable creatures, okay? We are biologically designed to be around each other. So this is obviously a big problem because it gets to a point where we start to feel like we're at a loss, we're an impulse. Everybody's living behind their screens. And especially when it comes to dating, guys, I also want you to go ahead and cold approach. I myself am also doing it, right? I'm a single guy. I'm still going out and talking to girls. I'm still engaging in conversation. What I would like for you to do is make the objective just talking to the individual. So it doesn't matter if you go up and just say, hey, hello, or hi, how are you doing? Or even if you fumble and you're like, hello, and it comes out really weird. And she'll be like, what? And you feel like an idiot for a brief second. But that's all part of the process. You have to constantly experiment with what exactly. This is experience, right? You have to experiment with your techniques to gain experience. And that experience is going to help you create a comparison as to what you're doing and what you've done in order to understand what you want to do. Ioto, forget about that. Forget about topics, forget about thinking of what to say, forget about like pickup lines or any corny things. Literally start by saying hello and then let the conversation flow from there. And you know what? If you can only go as far as hello, and if she says hey back, and if you don't know what else to say, leave it. Just say, oh, hey, have a nice day, and then move. Because your mind will then naturally start to work around, okay, cool. Well, we've understood that we can reach this level. Now, in order to reach the next level, what do we need to do to achieve that? And remember, exactly, it's like, guys, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. And use this principle with every aspect in your life. So it's not just about dating, it's about your physical health, it's about your mental health, it's about your spiritual health, right? There is no fixed blueprint. As Luther said, Hamza is, in my opinion, for me, Hamza is like a gateway for young people to get into the concept of improving themselves, right? And then embodying those dynamics. But we are all individuals. That's the most important part you need to see. There is no cookie cutter program. Just because Hamza managed to go cold turkey on all his habits, which then gave him his sort of boost in experience, does not mean that the next guy will. Like me, for example, I know for a fact that I can go cold turkey on some like aspects of self-development, whereas others I can't. Like the social factor, I cannot just lock myself away for months on end and not go out, talk to people. Like I know for a fact that I need to be around my friends because I'm an extrovert. I need to go out and speak to girls. I need that feminine energy around me to also help me and reassure me that yes, okay, I'm a heterosexual male. I am still indeed attracted to women, and I've not just like gone into like some form of like involuntary celibacy. Okay, everybody here has to adhere to their biological programming, and we are like all innately biologically programmed in the very like staple way, which is if you're heterosexual male, you're looking for a heterosexual female. But what I mean about like your own individual biology, okay, is understanding who you are. That's what this whole process of self-development is. When you understand who you are and you understand like what your needs are versus your wants, then you can operate from that. You've got a good foundation on how to build up from that. And that's how you create the social group that you want. That's how you then, start to work with the dating field a little bit better. You understand what kind of girls do it for you. What kind of girls are the ones that, you want to be with, right? You then get a better feeling and understanding as to what kind of person you want to be. Like me myself personally, I visualize myself like since I left the military, I visualize myself being my own businessman, being my own entrepreneur, being my own coach, similar to the likes of Hamza and Iman, all right? Because these guys are part of a sphere, and I want to be a part of that sphere as well. But the only way that I can get to that level is by putting in the work to understanding my own coding. And you, in turn, each individual, every single person here, all 178 people that are in this lecture room right now, have to figure out your own individual like formula and coding to yourself. Again, there's no cookie cutter way to just go about self-development. You have to figure out that aspect for yourself and understand that there is no like textbook on how to become the most like the best person in the world. You can learn through books, and we encourage that. You can learn from us if you want. If this lecture is providing you value, well, that's great. But if it doesn't do it for you, you find your sources from somewhere else. you see where I'm going with this, guys? We're trying to broaden your perspective on finding your own way whilst maintaining to like a guideline. Like everything that's discussed here are more guidelines, and it's to bring you away from thinking that you have to live in a certain way, and if you're not living in a certain way, then you're failing. I myself have struggled with that as well. And you see, that's perfectly fine. It's the duality of life. So that's just what I wanted to add on to what Luther was saying. Pretty much the same thing, overlapping statements, but I'm just giving you a slightly different take as someone who's lived longer. We can add on to this because just from this little conversation we had with Xavier, something that I've also gone through myself. I've come to like a point, especially like one thing that can really mess with my mind on self-development is when it comes to like the aspect of separating yourself to the next to move to the next stage in your progression. It's very easy to also develop a superiority complex when it comes to your self-development. All right. And like the typical thing here was, like Xavier, for example, just sent a picture of a girl to his friends. They immediately started sexualizing her, and then like comparing her to, I mean, literally art, like a drawing, or like just some sort of like racy image, and part like that's just part of like the issue that a lot of people can get into when it comes to self-development. One thing that really strikes out at me is that it sort of enforces the whole concept of everyone's in their own sort of journey. Everyone's at their own stage. But this is also why it's so much more important to understand your own needs versus your wants when it comes to, identifying like what works for you socially, what works for you in terms of what's going to mentally stimulate you correctly, what do you need to be emotionally stimulated correctly. And then you start to create like almost like a system for yourself. Like for myself now, I personally enjoy like staying in, reading books that are going to help me develop my character. I enjoy doing the courses that I work on now. And before I never used to. Before I used to absolutely hate it. I would always just complain and look for a way to not do things. I think you touched on that as well, Luther, and so did Xavier. If you want to start something, the best time to start it is right now in this present moment. And just because, say for example, you're not doing it to like the highest degree that you see some YouTuber doing it, doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. For me personally, my personal sort of struggle with this is when I make videos on my channel. Okay, I'm looking at expanding and building up on it and doing more. But then I'd look at like, for example, like Hamza, because we sort of have the same sort of messages. And then I get like this self-development inferiority complex. So the point that I'm trying to make here is do not compare yourself to people who are further in their journeys or people who are earlier in their journeys. Okay? Because all that's going to do is it's going to create a complex in your mind which does not need to exist. And then that's just going to feed into into like a false sense of existence and take you away from the root cause of your objective, which is to actually just be your best self. So that's just my little segment I wanted to cover there on the
True.
whole complexes that
True, man.
you can develop.
Very
Yeah.
fucking true, actually. Now that I think about it, it's 'cause I don't know. I mean, you guys also seen the Hamza's like announcement. I think it was at Hamza's updates. He posted this yesterday. It's a message between him and his dad. If you go on in the server, guys, you can see it. It's him telling his dad that he will be making 100K per month income end of this year, and late next year we will all be in retirement and just work for fun. And he also says being able to say this to my dad feels insane, and just like the the comparison that I felt directly as I was reading that, just like the feeling of the inferiority that you were just talking about, Sarvan, the feeling of fucking hell, man, like this guy, how much he has done now, like he's gonna take his entire family into retirement, and what am I doing? The fuck have I done? And it's like, in comparison, I might be like, okay, well, I'm still young, I can still do it, and that's the thing, I absolutely can. Like Hamza did not start this journey from an easy road, but he kept trying new things, and some things have failed, some things almost worked out, but they didn't really fully work out until he kept doing what he's doing right now. And this is why he is in this position. This is why he's gonna take his family to retirement. And comparing yourself to people, it's something that you're not gonna be really easily capable of just getting rid of completely. But the only advice that I can give on that is just work on yourself. Just that's all you can do right now. Just work on yourself. That is literally all you can do right now is just to work on yourself and try new things. The mistake that everyone does is that everyone gets on self-improvement. They're like, okay, I've stopped watching pornography. I'm on NoFap now. I am studying, an hour a day or so on. I'm doing good in school. I'm doing good in the gym. I'm doing good at work. I'm making some money. This is going fine. I'm connecting with a better social circle. But the question is, what are you doing for yourself? You know, what are you doing that's new that's actually gonna get you somewhere better? Like, for example, it doesn't have to be something completely original. It doesn't have to be something that no one else has ever done before, but it could be something that you could try. Maybe it will work for you. If you have enough motives, if you have enough beliefs, you will be able to make it. You just have to try new things. But if you just expect to go to the gym, build yourself, a good physique and so on, and then after like a year or two or like a few months, this actually happened to me personally. I went up in weight. I was quite anorexic. If I showed you guys a picture of me on how I was before, you guys would be like, "What the actual fuck? How is that you? And how did you do this?" In fact, I feel like I will look for it as we speak, just to kind of elaborate on my point even more. But it is something that I myself have experienced where I worked on myself a lot. I really worked on myself, and I was like, "Man, I'm hitting the gym. I'm doing this for myself, right? I should be better." I'm sending this. I sent the pictures in the chat. I mean, I don't give a fuck at this point. You guys can see how I was. This was me when I turned 18. When I was skinny as fuck, that's what was me when I was 18. I was that fucking skinny, and then I flipped my life around. When I did that, I was like, where the people at? Where the girls at? Where are the new friends at? How did this person right now that okay, that has bigger, better physique, whatever? How does this person not develop enough to actually make new friends? Where are my friends at? How does the person who was skinny as fuck was having more friends before? That's because a lot of the friends before that I was having before was because of my degenerate lifestyle. Because I was trying to do new things, but in a degenerate lifestyle. I was trying to do new things by smoking. I never smoked before, but then I got into smoking. I tried to do new things by taking more drugs, taking different types of drugs, going to different types of parties, approaching girls in different types of ways. Right? So why don't I flip the fucking book, flip the page, and do the same thing of trying new things, but instead of trying new things in the bad habits, in the bad, do drugs or do this or do that, try new things and actually improving yourself. Try new things and actually studying, maybe in developing something new, maybe programming something new, maybe designing something new. Like
Read books, motherfucker. Just read
it's
books.
that's it's
Educate yourself.
so so fucking, man. It's just so it's actually fucking
Educate
hard working,
yourself.
man.
That's
Exactly. Educate
that's what it's
yourself.
about.
It's like
So
people just don't know much, man. There just needs to be more education out there for real about these kind of topics, especially.
It's not that. I'll tell you what it is. It's because one the so one we live in a world now where resources are so commonly accessible to the point where it's it's overloading and overstimulating people, but also because now education and just the concept of reading books itself has started to become like it's deemed somewhat archaic in nature, and in replacement of that we have video games, popular TV shows, um I mean, very high paced flash media based like programs like TikTok, for example, social media. All of that has started to make us devoid of education. You can use it in in a productive sense, like TikTok, for example, which does actually have educational channels out there. YouTube do have educational channels. I mean, self improvement is in a form of its own, like education, like self development, self education on yourself. But what those are like, those are the minority of channels. Now you've got like all these reaction channels and then gaming channels and X, Y, and Z, like lifestyle channels and everything, and all those things do play a part in sort of like your own personal development. But in order to get there, you need to lay down the foundations first. Books help you gain that sense of introspective understanding. Why? Because it takes cerebral power for you to engage with the words and the writing that is being inscribed on those pages, for you to digest them, to then understand them, and then interpret them. So that takes mental energy, and you're using that mental energy to gain the knowledge, to soak up that knowledge. And then remember this, guys, it's all well and good reading all those books, but the knowledge without application is also just as useless. It's almost just as ineffective as just not reading the book in the first place. So if you are someone who is currently reading books and taking action, then remember that the knowledge will only start to sort of really compound itself within you is when you start to act upon it. So for anyone who's reading Atomic Habits, work on those steps that are taught to you. If you're reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, work on those steps that are taught to you. If you're reading like like a self a self-help biography like myself, I'm reading David Goggins' Can't Hurt Me right now. I'm working and acting on all the challenges that like the call to action points. I'm acting on all of those. And then I implement the same mindset when it comes to, say, for example, watching a First Man video, watching one of Iman Gaji's video. It's They are all nuggets of information, but again, inaction is in its own form procrastination, and procrastination is a slow death. So break that cycle by educating yourself. And yeah, exactly. Do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. Because
Fuck music, especially when you don't feel like.
yeah, exactly. Because you're just going to be you're just going to be crippling yourself. And that's the only thing that you need to understand. The only person that you have to work towards is being, well, the only person that you're working against really is you, right? You're the only person that's going to be able to look at yourself at the end of your life and you reflect on, okay, I lived a fulfilling life. I did this, or I could have done this better, or maybe I should have done this better. So, it's you versus you guys. And like my personal slogan is win the war with yourself, one battle at a time. The way that you do that is by taking small progressive steps, because those are the wins that lead to you gaining the confidence and the effectiveness to win your small battles. And when you win enough of those battles, you start to turn the tides in that war with yourself. And just to explain what I mean by that, it's the war on your ego. You're not like literally going to war with yourself and like destroying yourself, like in the gym or doing something crazy like that. You have to adopt a very ruthless mindset. When that Jeffrey brain is saying, don't get up, it's cold outside, you tell that voice to just shut up, and you move. You just take action. So those are my
This point,
points. Do you have any more points before we close?
man, just look at. I mean, this is my last point, but just look at everything in your life as a big project, and take it. I mean, one battle at a time. Is exactly how you should look at it. I myself, I'm trying to study programming and so on. Trying to program this big project. I don't just look at it and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna program everything at once and I'm gonna start here, start here, start here. I start one step at a fucking time to make sure that things actually work with each other and they're coherent and they're actually they don't just collapse later, and I don't just start one thing here and I don't finish it and then I start one thing here. One thing at a time, one battle at a time. That principle is very valuable, taking everything. In the gym, in school, life, everything. You win things one step at a time, one battle at a time. Do not try and attempt to look at your life as one small battle. It's a huge fucking war, but you have to win it one battle at a fucking time. It's that simple. 1% better every day. It's that simple. It's hard enough to get into it, but once you start in the flow, every time I jump in my fucking programming shit, I'm like, damn, I don't know what the fuck to do. But then, like, at the end of the day, I do something extra. But that's better. That's less work for me tomorrow. That's how I look at it. All right, boys. That's gonna be it for me for this lecture. And thank you, Sravan, for co-hosting this. It's been quite informational. If I can, reflect on what you guys have been saying in the chat, it's quite positively accepted and received by people in this lecture chat. I appreciate you all coming and listening to me rant for a while, and then Sravan spitting some knowledge facts to kind of like silver line everything. And